Hi, welcome back to the Gemara in Bava Kama, Daf Vav Amud Aleph. We're starting at the very end of the first line of the Gemara, right where we left off in class. Hatzad hashaveh shebehen. So this, of course, is a quote from the Mishnah. I'm going to highlight it entirely in red because it's a quote from the Mishnah. And as a reminder, what it says is that the tzad hashaveh, the thing that they all have in common, is darkan lahazik, that all of these avot, their way is to cause damage, and shmiratan alecha, and that it's the owner is responsible for watching them. And then, of course, it talks about meitav haaretz. But these are the things that they have in common. La'atuye mai, what does this come to include? Just as we saw in the last Gemara, in the last section that we looked at, the Gemara really wants to know why we need all of these additional statements about the different avot. So what is the fact that they have these things in common? Like what new cases, what new information does that include for us? Amar Abaye, la'atuye avano sakino umasao shehanichan berosh gago v'naflu beruach mitzuya v'hiziku. So Abaye says, and we've seen this case before, it's to include his stone, his knife, and his burden, his bundle, his package, that he left at the top of the roof, and they fell in a normal wind and they did damage. So that's the case that this comes to include. It's one of these things was left on the roof and the wind comes and blows it down and it does damage. Hichidami, what exactly is the case? Literally, what is this like? But what exactly is the case that we're talking about? We're going to clarify a little bit. Ibahadi deka azle kamazke hainu esh. If these falling objects did damage while they were falling, bahadi deka azle, at the same time as they were moving, that's the same as fire. Fire is something that does damage while it's moving. Maishna esh, what's the difference between fire? Dekoach acher me'urav bo, which has another power mixed into it. In both cases, both the fire and these things that are falling, the other force is the wind. Umamoncha, and it's your property. Ushmirato alecha, and you're responsible for guarding it. Haninami koach acher me'urav bahen. Umamoncha. Ushmirato alecha. This too, right? This case also, this case of something falling, that's also it's also mamoncha, shmirato alecha, and koach acher me'urav bo. It's the same as ash. So it can't be, I'm putting this all as part of the challenge, right? It can't be that this is the case that the words hatzad hashaveh shebehen are coming to include, because this case is already covered by fire. We would already know that you're chayav for this case of damage because it shares fundamental principles with ash. So we have to try again. Ve'ela batar denaiche. Rather, maybe we're talking about a case of after they came to rest. Same idea, these things were on the roof, the wind blew them down, and after they already came to rest on the ground, they somehow did damage. Someone trips over them or something. Ida afkarinhu, ben larav, ben lashmuel, hainu bor. So let's put this, it's a little hard to structure chart this, but let's say that this is a response, right? Maybe we're going to say that it's after they came to rest. But if you've already made them hefker, if you've already said, these objects are not mine anymore, both Rav and Shmuel would consider that to be bor. They wouldn't consider it to be a new case that has to be brought by the tzad hashaveh. They would consider it to be just a subset of bor. It's something that's in the public domain that you made hefker and it causes damage. Maishna bor, so what's the difference between bor? Sheken tchilat asiyato lenezek, where it's liable to do damage, it's able to do damage from the beginning of its existence. Umamoncha, and it's your property. Ushmiratan alecha, and you're responsible for guarding it. Haninami tchilas asiyatan lenezek. Umamoncha, ushmiratan alecha. So here too, all those same things apply. So this is also not an answer to what additional cases are brought by the words hatzad hashaveh. And I actually think I'm going to do this, make it a question mark, exclamation point. Ella delo afkarinhu. Rather, it must be a case, the case that's being added by the words hatzad hashaveh shebehen must be a case where you didn't make it hefker, right? All these things, you left them on the roof, they fell off because of a wind, and the owner did not make the object ownerless, l'shmuel, according to the opinion of Shmuel. This specifically works according to the opinion of Shmuel. De'amar kulam miborah amadnu, who said that we learn all circumstances of someone being chayav for things that are in the public domain. We always learn that from amadnu. Hainu bor. Right, so that is also the same as bor. Okay, so this is a suggestion of an answer, right? Ela de lo afkarinu, right? Maybe it's a case where you didn't make it hefker, but Shmuel would still say it's bor. Right? So again, we still don't have a case, a new case, some new kind of damage that these words about Hatzat HaShaveh come to teach us, because this case could still fit into bor. La'olam de afkarinu. No, actually, it's for sure a case where you did make the objects hefker. Again, objects on roof, wind blew them down, but you did make them hefker. Velo damu lebor. And actually, it's not similar to bor, or it's not similar enough to bor to be able to learn it directly from bor. I'm going to actually say this is also part of the answer. Ma lebor sheken ein koach acher me'urav bo. Tamar bahani shekoach acher me'urav bahen. Just as with bor, it's not a great just as so too, but just as with bor, you can say that, or maybe I'll do it this way. Can you really say that with bor, where there's no other power mixed into it, right? There's no additional force involved in bor, it's just the thing that's out there on the ground. Tamar bahani shekoach acher me'urav bahen. But with these, koach acher is involved. Esh chochiach. Okay, so maybe we should learn it from fire. Mala esh sheken darko leilech hazik. But fire goes and does damage. Bor tochiach. So maybe we do learn it from bor, because these things can't just go out and do damage. Right? These things are once they're blown by the wind, they can't move. V'chazar hadin. So this is sort of a way of saying, well, we've come full circle. Right? None of these examples can fully teach us the case of the objects that are blown down. Right? Bor doesn't fully explain them, because these objects that were blown off the roof did actually have another power mixed into them, but they're not quite fire because they can't move once they're blown over. So we still haven't quite settled, or we now know, right? We don't know exactly what category these fit into, and so because of that, we can say that neither one alone, right? Neither ash nor bor could actually teach that you're chayav in this case. And so this case is actually what does get included. Maybe I'll change it to green so that's more clear. Right? This case is actually what gets included when you use the words Hatzat HaShaveh Shebehen. So this is one answer. There's going to be another answer, more answers, but this is one answer to the question of what gets included by the words Hatzat HaShaveh Shebehen, what new case that you couldn't learn directly from any of the categories on its own, but you learn from the crossover between the categories, the important things that they share. So here's another answer. Rava Amar, la'atuye bor hamitgalgel biraglei adam uveraglei behema. Rava says that it comes to include, I'm going to put a space here so you know this is going to be the second answer. Rava says it comes to include literally a pit that rolls because of the feet of people and animals. So not an actual pit in the sense of a hole in the ground, but something that was on the ground that could do damage. But maybe, it didn't cause damage in the place that you left it, but people stepped on it, kicked it, whatever, and it gets moved to a different place and it does damage there. So that's Rava's case of something that gets included by these words of Hatzat HaShaveh. Hechidami. What exactly is the case? We're going to go through this again. Ida afkarinhu. if it's a case where you made it hefker, you declared it ownerless, bein l'Rav bein l'Shmuel hainu bor. Right? Then both Rav and Shmuel would consider it to be a subset of bor. Maishna bor, sheken tchilat asiyato l'nezek u'shmirato alecha, haninami tchilat asiyatan l'nezek u'shmiratan alecha. What's the difference between bor, where it's originally able to do damage and you're responsible for guarding it, and so too with this case, right? So this is not a good example, right? Rava, this is not really a good example of something that gets included by these words because we could learn it directly from bor. Ella de lo afkarinu. So maybe it's a case where you didn't actually make it hefker. It's still owned. That's the response. L'shmuel da amar kulam miboro lamadnu, hainu bor. Right? But for Shmuel, who says that we learn everything from bor, so this would be the same as bor. So even though you declared it ownerless, you didn't declare it ownerless, it's still bor according to Shmuel. So this wouldn't be what those words came to teach us either. L'olam da'afkarinu. No, so it's for sure the case that you made it ownerless. V'lo dami labor, and it's not so similar to bor. Ma labor sheken ma'asav garmulo, tomar bahani she'en ma'asav garmulo. So when it comes to bor, when it comes to a pit, you could say that the person's actions, like digging the pit or leaving the thing in the public domain, that's what caused the damage. But in this case, Tamar Bahani She'en Ma'asav Garmula, right? But in this case, it wasn't the person's actions that caused the damage. You just left the thing someplace, but it didn't do damage where you left it. It wasn't until the other people or animals kicked it to there that it got, it did damage. So that's not really the case either. Shor yochiach. So maybe we should learn it from Shor. Malashor sheken dar kol elech l'hazik. So just as with Shor, right, or for Shor, the way of it is to go and do damage. Bor tochiach. So, but this thing can't go and do damage, so maybe we should learn it from bor. V'chazar hadin. Right? And we're back where we started from. Then chazar hadin again is a way of saying we've sort of gone around in circles, right? We can't actually learn this case of the thing that was left in the public domain, but it didn't do damage where it was left. It didn't do damage until you kicked it, until other people kicked it. So that's a case that you couldn't learn directly from bor or directly from esh. You couldn't learn it directly from either case. From Shor. You couldn't learn it from bor and you couldn't learn it from Shor. Lo re'izeh ki re'izeh. These things, re'i is like hare, kind of like aspects. So the characteristic of this one is not the characteristic of that one. So it's not, it's the things that they have in common that make a difference. So you are chayiv in the case of something that gets kicked about because it shares characteristics that you can learn out from pit and that you can learn out from Shor, from ox, and it gets those things, right? It's from the combination of those things that you can learn this case. Okay, we'll pause there.